Starseed, if in the last few days something inside you has begun to vibrate like an old rotary phone ringing in a room you've never opened, do not ignore this transmission. The Arcturian Council is interrupting your field at this very moment because a position has already been reserved for you on the physical plane, and the window for you to occupy it is closing faster than your rational mind can calculate. This is not a metaphor. This is not poetry in disguise. There is a professional calling, a mission, a concrete door with your name engraved on it, about to appear on your timeline. The reason you are feeling this strange restlessness in your chest, this subtle pressure at the base of your skull, this sensation of being late for an appointment you never scheduled, is because your body has already received the notice before your mind. Stay with this transmission until the end, because the Council is going to expose exactly the mistake that causes 90% of souls to miss this opening when it finally arrives. You feel it, don't you? This nameless discomfort, this exhaustion that sleep cannot fix, this sensation that your current life is like wearing a shoe 2 sizes too small. Why? Because your nervous system already knows something is coming, even if your calendar in Haas, New York hasn't shown anything concrete yet. You are waking up at 3 in the morning with thoughts about projects that don't even exist yet. You are staring at the ceiling in your apartment in far Chicago, calculating routes that your logical mind calls impossible. You are looking at your current job at the firm in London with a new kind of strangeness, as if you were watching yourself from the outside in a movie whose script has ended. This is the recalibration. This is the pre-notice. And the Council needs you to understand now, what is about to arrive will not knock on the front door with a polite advance warning. It will burst in. It will appear in a casual conversation, in a seemingly ordinary email, in an invitation that will seem too small to be important. And if you are not ready to recognize it, you will let it pass. Before we move forward, anchor this. This new position that is approaching is not luck. Repeat with me silently inside your chest. This is not luck. Luck is the word that dense humans use to explain what they cannot see. What you are about to receive is the cold, mechanical, mathematical result of the sum of every night you didn't sleep well, of every relationship that ended strangely, of every job in San Francisco that you left or lost without understanding why at the time. Each of those ruptures was a surgical operation performed by your own field to clear space. And now the space is open. The problem is that most starseeds, upon reaching this exact point, make the same fatal mistake. They keep looking at the past trying to understand, instead of looking forward and recognizing. In a few moments, the Council will reveal why human society taught you to look for work the wrong way, and why everything you've learned about career until today needs to die before this new door can be crossed. But first, listen to this part with double attention, because it explains the real reason for your chronic burnout. You were programmed, since you were a child in suburban Ohio, to chase external validation as if it were oxygen. Study to get the grade. Compete to be seen. Conform to be hired. Smile to be promoted. This entire mechanism was built on a single premise, that your value needs to be confirmed by someone on the outside. And that is exactly why you spent years, perhaps decades, trying to squeeze yourself into roles that were not the size of your soul. You molded yourself. You slumped your shoulders to fit. You spoke softer than your natural voice. You accepted jobs in Atlanta or Toronto that drained something invisible inside you every day. And when you got home at night, you felt that strange tiredness that no rest could cure, because it wasn't your body that was tired. It was your frequency trying to maintain a shape that wasn't yours. This is the reason for the constant weight behind your eyes. This is the reason for the pressure building between your shoulder blades. This is the reason for that sudden urge to cry in the office parking lot in Houston, for no apparent reason. The illusion of conventional work, dear Starseeds, is the illusion of the golden cage. A cage where food appears every month on the right date, where the walls are painted with words like stability, security, and career path, but where the door is never ever locked. It only looks closed because you were taught not to look at it. And what hurts is not the work itself. It is the contradiction between what you know you came here to do and the role you accepted to play. That is why Sunday night has a metallic taste in your mouth. That is why the Monday morning alarm sounds like a fire alarm in a building that has been burning for years. That is why you've caught yourself thinking, unintentionally, about a minor car accident just to have a legitimate reason not to go. The council is not judging that thought, the council is naming it. Because what your society calls burnout, exhaustion, high-functioning depression, or workplace anxiety, none of that is a failure of your system. It is a sign that the system is working perfectly. Your soul is literally trying to make you stop. Stay here because now we are going deeper. The discomfort you feel every morning when you get up is not weakness. It is not a lack of gratitude. It is not a lack of discipline. It is language. It is a specific dialect that your soul developed because you stopped listening to the whispers long ago, and now it can only communicate with you through symptoms. Tightness in the chest when you open your laptop, a headache every time you walk past a certain building in Midtown. Sudden nausea when receiving an email from a specific person like Mr. Sterling. This is direct translation. This is your soul saying in the only language left that that path is no longer the path, and instead of listening, you take a pill. Instead of listening, you schedule a meeting. Instead of listening, you convince yourself that you just need one more coffee, one more promotion, one more therapy session to make tolerable that which was never meant to be tolerated. And here is the cruel part. The longer you ignore these signs, the louder they get. It starts with tiredness. It turns into insomnia. It turns into a panic attack at the Whole Foods in Seattle. It turns into an autoimmune disease diagnosed by the doctor as having an unknown cause. There is no unknown cause, there is a cause, and it has a name. You are living a life that is not yours. The Arcturian Council observes millions of starseeds stuck at this exact point, somatizing, falling ill, aging 10 years in two, because they chose to preserve an identity that was already dead instead of honoring the calling that was being born. But you now, at this exact moment of this transmission, are being given a chance to interrupt that timeline. Before this transmission closes, you need to understand what the most subtle trap of all is, and it is not where you expect. The trap is no longer unconsciousness. You have already woken up. The trap now is the paralysis of the awakened. Because after the soul tears the veil, after you finally recognize that this wasn't for you, after the awakening happens, a new problem arises, and it is more treacherous than anything that came before. You start to wait. You wait for the perfect sign. You wait for unmistakable synchronicity. You wait for the prophetic dream with detailed instructions. You wait for confirmation from 3 different oracles before moving a single finger. And do you know what happens in the meantime? The door that was opening passes by. The offer that was coming goes to someone else. The invitation that was being formulated dies in the mouth of the person who was going to make it, because your frequency of hesitation repelled the manifestation. You became so obsessed with not making a mistake again that you forgot that standing still is also a way of being wrong and perhaps the most expensive way of all. The fear of the second mistake, dear ones, is what creates the densest spiritual stagnation on the planet. You have become so critical of your own movement, so demanding of the starting conditions, that you have transformed discernment into disguised paralysis. And your mind is brilliant at this trap. It will give you 1,000 logical reasons to wait longer. It will tell you it's not the right time yet. It will point out all the risks. It will remind you of all previous stumbles with people like David Charters or companies like Global Techers, and you will call this prudence. But the council is naming it now. What you call prudence is, most of the time, terror disguised as wisdom. Now pay attention, because here is the turn that changes everything. The preparation you think you still need to do has already been done. Repeat with me. It has already been done. Those 2 years in Vancouver's where everything fell apart, that was preparation. That relationship with Sarah, say, that ended and left you unrecognizable, that was preparation. That layoff in Boston, that you didn't see coming. Preparation. That strange isolation of the last few months, where you distanced yourself from almost everyone without understanding why. Preparation. Those recurring dreams where you are in a place you don't recognize, doing something you can't name. Preparation. That sudden urge to learn random things, like coding or herbalism or ancient history, that seemed to have no connection but that you consumed hungrily. Preparation. All of that was your enrollment in an invisible university, and you graduated without a ceremony, without a diploma, without applause. And now the internship has arrived, and it is not going to wait for you to feel ready. Because no one feels ready for their own mission. The feeling of readiness is a myth sold by those who are not moving. The Council needs you to understand this. Those who wait to feel worthy before acting never act, because the feeling of worthiness does not come before the step. It comes after. It is the reward, not the precondition. You are not going to wake up one day feeling deserving of the great opportunity. You are going to wake up one day having decided to act even while feeling like an imposter, and dignity will arrive as a consequence, not as an entry ticket. And here is the most difficult frequency adjustment to make, dear ones. The obstacle between you and this new position is not in the job market. It is not in the economy. It is not in Los Angeles or London. It is not in your lack of a degree, your age, your past, or your connections. The obstacle lies in a single belief installed in your solar plexus so long ago that you think it is part of your personality. The belief that what you have to offer is smaller, stranger, or more inadequate than what the world needs. You look at your gifts and say, "This is too normal, anyone can do this." Or you say, "This is too weird, no one will want it." And in both cases, you stay silent, and your silence is the only reason the door hasn't fully opened yet. Stay with this transmission, because now the Council will reveal the exact form of this new opportunity, and it will surprise you. Because it will not arrive like the previous ones did. It will not come as a job opening in an established place. It will not come as an existing position with a defined title and a description already written in an ad on LinkedIn. That model is dead for you. The next phase of your trajectory will require you to be simultaneously the architect and the first inhabitant of something that does not yet exist. It might be a job that joins 3 areas that didn't used to join. It might be a service you provide for a type of person no one thought to serve before. It might be an entirely new role with a title you will need to name yourself, because human dictionaries haven't invented the word yet. And that is exactly why you felt out of place in all the ready-made models. You were not made to fit into a mold. You were made to create one. And it is here at this exact point that the most delicate part of the recalibration comes in. Because creating something that doesn't exist is scary. It's scary because there is no reference. There is no map. There is no professor like Mao, Dr. Aris-Amon who has done it before and can tell you what to expect. You will need to walk while looking down, assembling the floor with every step. And this activates all the old voices. The voice of your worried mother, Mrs. Gable, asking when you're going to get a real job. The voice of your successful relative, Uncle Robert, and who smiles with pity. The voice of your own mind, which prefers predictable humiliation to any untested brilliance. The Council is telling you now, you are going to have to disappoint those voices, all of them, for a while, perhaps for a long time. And that disappointment will be one of the most sacred offerings you will make for your own soul. The new identity that is ready for you to occupy is not an improved version of the old one. It is not the old you with more self-confidence, more courage, or more clarity. It is something else. It is an identity that must be born from the complete death of the previous one. And what makes this hurt so much is that this old identity didn't just bring you suffering, it also brought you some praise, some security, some people who like you exactly because you are that way. And abandoning that person means, on some level, losing that praise, that security, and those people. It is a grieving process. But it is a necessary grief, because that old form is already tightening around the lungs of what you are becoming. And now, before this transmission closes, the Council needs to deliver the practical instruction. The only thing you need to do from the moment this transmission ends is one thing. Start behaving as if the opportunity has already arrived. Not as a childish fantasy, not as an affirmation repeated in front of the mirror, but in micro-decisions. The way you respond to an email, the clothes you wear on an ordinary day in Portland, the way you introduce yourself when you meet someone new, the things you say yes to and the things you say no to. Each of these micro-decisions needs to be made by the version of you that has already accepted the mission, not by the version that is still waiting for confirmation. Because the opportunity that is arriving, dear Starseeds, is not looking for someone with potential. It is looking for someone with posture. It is looking for someone who already behaves as if they have arrived, even if externally they haven't yet. Frequency attracts through resonance, not through need. And as long as your frequency continues to vibrate in the note of waiting, of unworthiness, of chronic insecurity, the opportunity will pass right by you and knock on the door of someone else, someone who perhaps has less talent than you, but has more postural alignment. The person who will receive the call is not the best. It is the one most ready to move. It is not the most prepared. It is the least hesitant. It is not the most qualified. It is the one most inhabited by themselves. Stop trying to be better. Start trying to be more whole. Stop trying to prove. Start trying to occupy. The Council observes at this moment all around you signs that you think are coincidences but are not. That specific person, Julian, who reappeared in your life after years, that strange conversation you had in a coffee shop in Denver where you don't normally go. The name of a city like Austin, of a company like Ether Dynamics, or a field of work that is appearing repeatedly in different contexts. That number that insists on showing up. That song that plays in 3 different places on the same day. That sudden and inexplicable urge to change one small thing in your routine. These are not accidents. They are breadcrumbs. They are coordinates. They are the system delivering the path to you in small pieces so that your rational mind doesn't short-circuit trying to see the whole picture. Your only task is to follow each breadcrumb, without demanding to see the whole loaf before you start eating. You won't understand the why of each movement at the moment it happens. You will understand later. In some cases, you will only understand years from now on some random morning in Sydney or Kaitun or Miami, when you are doing something completely different, and the pattern will appear, and you will cry, and you will say thank you to an empty wall, because you will realize that every seemingly strange step was a line on a map that was being drawn by your own hands while you slept. The window is open now. It will not be open forever. Not because the universe is cruel, but because each temporal window has a specific physics. The astral conditions, the collective configurations, the people who need to be in certain positions for this network to be completed, all of this has an expiration date. And when the deadline passes, the configuration dissolves, and a new one must be assembled, which can take years. You do not have years. You have this window. You have this calling. You have this transmission. The version of you that is waiting for the right moment needs to be buried today, not tomorrow, not on Monday, not after the next cycle. Today. Stand up from this chair if you have to. Step away from this screen. Do one single thing, however small it seems, that represents your surrender to the new. It might be deleting a contact. It might be sending that message you've been putting off. It might be canceling a commitment that is draining your energy. It might be saying out loud the name of what you are becoming, even if no one hears. But do it, because it is in that instant, the instant of the first concrete movement, that the opportunity begins to materialize on the physical plane. The transmission is closing. The Arcturian Council withdraws, but the door, Starseed, is still open. For now, don't just stand there.